Okay, I brought the seats back from the welders. They've gone ahead and welded all the bottom seat frames, and two of them are cracked and one of them wasn't, but I went ahead and had them reinforced. And then I've gone ahead and used this product right here after I used the Dremel with the steel brush on it and did some sanding to get all the remaining rust and to rough up the surface. And this basically is like a primer, and it neutralizes the rust. So it seems to work pretty good. I've used it before, and eventually I'll go ahead and paint them. The welders went ahead and repaired the one that was cracked, these L brackets here on the back of the reclining, I guess, hinge on the seat. And you can see right in there where they went ahead and reinforced. You just did it on the inside because the back of the bracket actually melts up against the back seat, so there's not any room to do that. And here are all my seat rails. I've gone ahead and I've sanded and got most of the rust off that I could. There wasn't a whole lot, but there was some surface rust, and I went ahead and used that rust primer, preserver, or whatever, converter I guess it is, and then I've gone ahead and spray painting those. So that's where I am with that. Okay, I just wanted to give you an update of where I am. Last video I covered basically taking apart the seat. The one thing I did leave off is this handle here. It has a Torx screw right there I got in the bag. I don't know if you can see it, of course, but I think it was a T30. And basically that was right here. And I didn't have it off, but I was able to find it had like Loctite on it, and I was able to get it off. As I had mentioned before, I'd taken these to the welders. This point right here was cracked, and I welded it up. I'd rough sanded all the parts where there was rust on both sides, and where it was here welded, I put some of that rust sealer primer on it that I'd shown in the previous video, and then I've touched it up and spray painted those particular parts, like right here, and I think on one of these they welded right here too because it had started to crack. And so that's pretty much where I am with that. The other thing I did do too as well is I gently put this adjuster back on, and I went back and everything that moved and in here as well, I went back and cleaned it out with lightly sprayed some WD-40, moved the mechanisms back and forth, and then tried to go back in there with some dry lubricant that had some what do you want to call it, FTP, or what do you call it, I can't think of it, but Teflon is the word I'm thinking about. Had some Teflon in it, and then I went back and put some Teflon grease and lightly lubricated. So all these move real nice now. So I've got all the parts that need to be lubricated. I've got it painted. The next step is I decided that I was going to try and replace the bolsters on this driver's seat. This was pretty much toast. Here's one of the bolsters that was in here. This was on the good side, or this came maybe from the passenger side driver's seat. I think this actually came over here. It goes on that side like that. I also think that the foam has shown some wear. It probably could still reuse this one. That one's in good shape because it hadn't been ripped. The other side was just shredded, and this bar was actually showing through on it. What I found was firm. I mean, you can look online at foams you can order. I ordered for the seat right here. I haven't shown it yet, but I ordered, what is it? IDL, which stands for the inflection something. Basically what it boils down to is how much something inflects with a given amount of weight on it. And the one that I got was 50, and the density I think was like 2.0 or 2 pounds. So basically what happens is if it's 4 inches thick and you put a 50-pound weight on it, it's going to deflect. It's given the percentage of 25%, how much weight it takes to deflect that particular foam 25%. So this was rated at 50, which is getting on the firm side. There's some up there that can go up to 70 pounds, and pretty much that's what this is 8-pound carpet foam that I made this out of to replace this. And basically what I did was I looked at this bolster here and looked how it went in, and I made 3 different patterns. We have one here for this one on the outside, and I did 1 layer for that. Then you have this side. This is the thicker side, which goes on the inside of the seat because it goes like that. Probably could do 2, but I actually did 3 layers right here, as you can see. And then I did this to create the pocket. Basically, I measured that like this around here to fit that particular around the seat. And what I did was I went ahead and cut those out, and then bought different types of adhesives. I called Loctite, I called 3M, and I also called it was Permax, I think it is the name of the company here. I got a bottle from them. They told me the 80 I could use, 3M did, with the foam, and that would work, and it was automotive, it can handle the heat. It says it's for bonds rubber and vinyls. It can also be used for automotive headliner, which I think also this is pretty much very similar as well. So I haven't really tried that. I have used the 80, and then there was a firmer stuff that I used that was a 3M product. It said it was for exterior yellow and an extra strong hold. These 2 over here, these, I think this was at Home Depot, that was $14. This was like $13 at, I want to say, at AutoZone. I think they also carried it at Advanced Auto. But what I did for these, because these are going to get a lot of wear and tear by getting in and out of the car, I went ahead and I followed the instructions. I probably should have put some more weight because this is kind of loose here, but where it did glue, it glued really tight. Put some weight on it. I think you're supposed to let it sit for a couple minutes to get it sticky, but I went ahead and let it dry overnight, and then I went back and I took a large needle and some heavy thread, and I went ahead and I hand sewed this. And it was kind of time consuming. It took about maybe 15 minutes a piece to sew these, plus, you know, cutting this as well. And basically what I did, again, I cut the patterns out, and after I glued all this dry, I went back with a sander and I did a little bit of shaping on this to get all these pieces even together. I used a belt sander. I've seen different people use when you want, like, the grinder sanders, I guess, the disc, more or less a grinding disc to grind that down a little bit. I guess it's really going to boil down to, you know, what you have available. I do have a grinder, but I didn't try grinding that down. You might have a little bit more control. The belt sander seemed to work, and I used some of the rougher grits. I think I used like a 50 grit on this. You have to be very careful because it does tear, and make sure that when you're running the belt, like, you want to run it in this direction, and more like when you're on the edges, because it'll kick back if you're not going. So I'd make sure there's plenty of meat behind you on the back end of this and not loose parts. And if you're going to go down here, you want to be going this way, going down this way and not this way, because if you go this way, it's just going to tear it all up. But after I finished shaping it, I went back and I sewed that. This is much firmer than this. I mean, granted, this is kind of worn, and these are the sides, so these should fit snug, and it's going to give her a snugger fit sitting in the seat. So hopefully this will work, and given the fact that it's glued and then it's sewn, and then, as you can see, this fits kind of like on here like this. Actually it goes over here on this side, because you got the 3 right there, And so you put that on there and it fits in there. I also made a small little piece to go in here as well before I put that on. So the next thing I need to do is create the pieces for that. I'll make vinyl patterns for these different pieces. I've already gone ahead and done vinyl patterns, and these are the headrests that I've already done, and they're already completed. And again, what I did was I cut these out. I opened the back. It opens up from the bottom here. I just put a piece of wood in here. I know that's probably not the neatest, but it's probably, it's not going to be seen. But this was folded in here on the original. It popped out, and you can slide this metal piece once you open that up. And then once that's done, it's just foam in there because there's a metal piece with some backing on it. And then once you do that, you can slide the foam out of the old covering for it, the old leather. And then I just took it apart and made patterns like I did with this. And then I went ahead and put it together and sewed all that. There's another video on YouTube where somebody actually shows a Mercedes seat being made. And they actually showed the headrest, taking it, putting it back in. Basically, I folded the foam in and shoved it back into the new cover that I made, and then put the backing in. And to be honest with you, it's kind of tricky figuring out these templates. You have to remember that the leather shrunk, and so's the foam. This is vinyl, and you want to try and make it kind of snug. You don't want super snug, but you want it snug enough that I say the better. This will probably shrink up in the sun somewhat. You can also take heat too, and I see like a heat gun or a hair dryer and heat this up if you watch some of the other videos. Again, I'm not an expert on this. I've just been watching a lot of upholstery videos, just trying to give some ideas for people out there. But they said that this will help shrink this up. And these ended up actually being big. And so what I ended up doing is, here's a bolster that I was working on. On this seam right here, when I have it, you sew it from the outside, these two pieces together like this. And if you watch any of the upholstery videos, what I ended up having to do, I had to come back and sew another line on this and come in a little bit, and this would actually make this smaller when you flip it the other way out. And I had to do that a couple of times with each of these, because I drawn out the pattern. I left a little bit for the hem. Probably could actually left less to make sure that these are tighter. Again, it's difficult to figure out what you're doing. I know with pleats you need to leave a lot of extra, and when I'm making these side pieces here, they're going to fold around and wrap. There's some clips underneath. There are little spikes that tap in there. It's probably going to be better to leave an extra 2 inches or so on that to wrap around, so you can pull it over and tight and have something to grab on, and then spike it on there, and then you can go back with scissors and trim it up neater. So I've got to remember this. This didn't turn out the way I wanted to, but I found out that I was trying to use tape to hold these two pieces, and that didn't really seem to work. I was just taping around the edge. I ended up using pins, believe it or not, and they said that you were going to poke holes in the vinyl, but I was careful, and the pin holes are so small. I don't see any, and where I'm pinning it, it's right next to the seam, but I'm not going over across the line from where I'm sewing. I'm going right next to it. So it seems to hold better. You get pricked while you're trying to sew and carry everything around, but it seems to get the job better, or do a better job than just taping it up. So that's where I am right now with all this. Again, I need to make the covers for these bolsters right there. And go back and make a pattern for the thigh rest that goes out there on the sports seat right there, that can slide, retract in and out, and that's what that little knob turns there for. I do have the 50 weight foam for the seat here. I'm going to go ahead and replace that. I'm going to replace, I think, pretty much all the foam on this. I just reused the headrest foam. Again, this piece is probably could be used but I'm going to try this and just see what happens. I think the carpet foam will work if it's glued properly and then it's sewn the way it is. And then these other pieces with the other foam, I'll probably show those later, but I think that should work. But given all that, so we're going step by step and see how that works. I did want to mention that I did see online where you could buy these pieces. Somebody had them, but it was really expensive. I mean, we're talking close to $200 to buy all the foam, these different foam pieces. I think it was these two pieces, the center piece, the back piece, and the two side balusters on the seat back. And that was $185. I don't even know if that covered this. So, again, you know, you'd be looking at close to $400 for two seats for foam. And I know even the foam that I bought, the two pieces of foam that I'm going to use in the seat, I ordered those because I didn't find anybody locally that had good foam. And those were $30 for both pieces. And I think by the time I spend this with the carpet on both sides, I've spent about $20 or $30. The carpet's pretty reasonably priced. The adhesive is what eats you up. I'll probably have close to $150, I think, in foam because I went to the other place, that materials fabric store, Mill Village. Their chain, and there's also Joann's that you can look at as well. And I spent right around $100 there in foam. So at the end of the day, I'm going to probably spend close to one seat replacing the foam, and I'll probably have a little bit extra left over, but it's a less expensive. As long as this holds together, I think it'll be firmer, and it should hopefully last just as long. And we'll go from there on that. But that's sort of an update where I am. And I hope that gives some people ideas on what they can do with this. The other part that you may want to also look at, there's a video, I forget the name of the company, seats.com or something like that. You can look on it. They've got some Porsche seats that they fix. Basically what they're doing is, like if this was ripped, they take you use electric knife to cut all this. They cut out the bad section and get all where it's flaking up and get down to some good foam, and then they do patches, and you can use again this adhesive spray or whatever, some type of adhesive. You may even be able to use some contact cement. That's what their local upholsterer. I don't know how well that will work, and I do some research online. And they gone in and they actually cut out a square or kind of shape it as much as they can with a knife and leave some overlap, and then they glue that in there, allow it to dry, and it becomes part of that piece, and then they shape it. Again, they grind it down with either, you know, they used a disc like grinder, and they grind it down to shape to match to make it look like it originally did, and then they go ahead and reinstall it. So basically they're just sort of restoring the foam. I also saw that you could use steam to help liven up the foam. I think that will work. I don't know how long it'll last. I think it's going to be, you know, more of a temporary thing than a long-term thing, but again, I think hopefully going with this foam, the way it's rebonded and everything, and because it's 8-pound carpet, which is supposed to be one of the better foams, hopefully that will hold up, and the way it was glued and sewn, that's what I hope. Again, I may be wrong, I may be falling apart after a year, and I'm doing this all over again. I'll be kind of frustrated, but I'm trying to find an alternative to that. I just wanted to give you a quick look at the sewing machine that I'm using. Now, just some quick information. I am able to sew with this. I am using, what is it, T90 thread. I'm pushing the limit. This is an old Singer model 6616. I've got a Teflon foot. It does not have a walking foot. If you watch anybody that reupholsters furniture, I mean, you definitely would want to, if you can, get an industrial machine that has a walking foot. It's going to make your life probably a whole lot easier to do this. I am able to do it barely with this. I mean, I'm pushing the threshold of this machine. I don't think a regular home machine would, the one you buy off a shelf today at Joann's or Walmart or whatever, I think they would have a very, very, very hard time trying to get get the results that I've been able to do. And I'm pushing this machine right here. I think you'd probably use the T70 thread. And the other thing that I did too is I loosened the tension on the foot so it doesn't push down as hard. Now there's some other tricks that people, you can watch videos on it. They're using newspaper or on the side so this slides across here. So far, pretty much I've been sewing is where the cotton backing has been, the polyester cotton backing. So it does go through pretty okay. It's just when you're dealing with the upside where the color and everything is that's going to be exposed on the outside, it's a little bit harder to sew. I've got an example of some top stitching that I did upstairs. I'll give a real quick view on that. But if you're wanting to do it with a home machine, I think you could try it with this. I think that you're probably going to get the best results, and that's what I was recommending. I did a lot of research, talked with a lot of individuals, and they told me that this would be the closest thing. The other alternative would be to get an industrial machine. I did buy one. I tore it all apart and cleaned it. It was a project that got kind of put on the side. This is a Singer 9647. It was really made for sewing cloaks, is what it says. It does have straight stitch. It doesn't have a back stitch. It doesn't do zigzag or anything. You could definitely put some heavier needles on it with this. You could probably definitely run the heavier thread. Again, it wasn't really heavy duty, but I mean, there was a person that had a different variation of this 96. I think they had like a 40 or something on YouTube. The video is still there. They were putting it up for sale, and they were showing how they sewed through the leather and everything. And I guess the biggest thing is when you look at the motor right there, look how big that motor is. I mean, usually these are like third or some of them quarter or half horse motors that are clutch, and if you have the nicer ones, they have servo units. And again, you can watch all the stuff with sewing machines. I'm not an expert on this, but I'm just trying to give some advice. And again, the advice would be, if you can, get an industrial machine with a walking foot. I think you're going to be so much far ahead. I should probably have put this machine together and probably tried to use that. I would probably get a little bit better results than what I'm doing. But right now I'm missing some pieces, and I'm trying to move ahead with this project. And the sewing machine I have right now is allowing me to more or less do that. So I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to cover for right now. So I'll try and give you another video update soon on what I've done and what I've completed, and go from there. Okay, here's what I've done with that Singer again. Here's an example. I went ahead and sewed it and then did a top stitch. I ran a couple of top stitches just testing it. Important thing is to get the tension right on it. You have to adjust the tension. I should have shown that on the top part. You can also adjust it on the bottom, and then also relieving some of the pressure. I'm able to get through 3 layers of vinyl here, but when you start hitting like 4 or more, the machine doesn't really want to handle it. So maybe able to go back and do a top stitch, which looks really nice. If you just do one of these and you do it really up close, I think that looks really, really nice, and you get the tension right. And again, this is using T90 thread, and I think it's a size 18. Probably could use a size 20 needle for this, but I just wanted to show everybody what the Singer 66 could actually do. And again, it took a little while because I was playing with the tensions and setting it up, and you may have had to make sure that the machine was threaded correctly. I screwed around for about 30 minutes to finally get it so that it would sew right. And so far, the machine has been sewing right for the most part. since I got everything correct. So, which makes me happy, but I struggled trying to get everything the way I wanted it. So, again, just wanted everybody to see that.